All right, so welcome to the REDe Summit. I'm very fortunate today to be joined by Dr. Nashlie Sephus, who is the Applied Science Manager for Amazon's Artificial Intelligence, focusing on fairness and identifying biases into the technologies. She has done this on top of leading the visual team, Amazon Visual Search team in Atlanta, which launched the visual search for replacement parts on Amazon Shopping app in June 2018. Before that, she was one of the key startup founders in PartPick there in Atlanta, which was then acquired by Amazon, where she was the chief technology officer for PartPick. And then she migrated over to the Amazon to, I'm sure, lead the team there and help with the implementation of the PartPick technologies. And if that wasn't enough, before she did all that, Nashlie also got a PhD from School of Electrical and Computer Engineering at Georgia Institute of Technology, and very recently in 2014, and continues to apply that amazing knowledge that she got there, received there, into her company now. She has also received a BS in Computer Engineering from Mississippi State University, which makes it even more impressive that you're here with us today, Nashlie. And on top of doing all those other things with Amazon and starting companies, she also is the founder of BeanPath, which is a nonprofit organization that she's going to talk a little bit more about in Jackson, Mississippi. And we're just super excited to have you here on that. And in that segue, can you kind of give us a little bit of a background that goes beyond the bio that I just gave and talk a little bit more about your professional experiences?
So, yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be a part of this. And, I'm born and raised in Jackson, Mississippi. Actually, for those of you familiar with Jackson, went to Murrah High School, graduated class of '03. So I did a lot there. I even played piano in the performing arts program there called Power APAC. And, just took opportunity to do and learn a lot. Played tennis, so things like that. Played in the band. And so as you mentioned, I got my bachelor's in computer engineering from Mississippi State. Sorry, go Bulldogs. I have to say it one time. But okay, I won't say it anymore, I promise.
No, we'll drop in an Are You Ready here soon, so don't worry.
Yeah, so and then I went on to get my PhD, like you said, at Georgia Tech. I think one of the biggest kind of stories is that I was while I was there, I met a young lady who had this idea for a company where you could take a picture of a part like a screw, a nut, a bolt, washer, and the algorithms we would write would automatically recognize the part in that picture and also measure that part. And so we would say, hey, this is a 2-inch hex bolt, 2-inch long, half an inch base diameter, threads per inch of 15. And we would show you a link to where you can buy that exact part. And so I became, the person who wrote that, one of the first prototypes for that technology. And she was able to take that prototype that I did as a struggling grad student, and she raised $1.2 million. And so when she raised that, I came on as full-time CTO, Chief Technology Officer. And then, long story short, we ended up getting acquired by Amazon almost 2 years, less than 2 years later, actually. And so, it's been quite a journey. I've been at Amazon ever since, and focusing on artificial intelligence now. But I have a lot of different experiences, and I'm grateful for that. All these different, ventures and things that I'm doing. It really gives me a wide perspective on how to approach, entrepreneurship.
That's brilliant. And I love the part that, because I know you're also heavily involved in your nonprofit organization too with BeanPath. Could you talk a little bit about it?
Sure. So I founded a nonprofit called the BeanPath. Back in 2018. And so what we do is we like to sow technical expertise into in order to fertilize and grow communities. And so a lot of people don't know that Bean is actually a computer programming term too, used in Java programming. And so computer scientists probably know that. But most people think of Bean as like a seed, something that grows and sprouts into something bigger. And so we say, follow the bean path, cultivate to sprout, determine your route. We want to help people reach their destinations with technology and us helping them. And so what we do essentially is we have these free tech office hours. We used to do them in the local libraries over the past year and a half. Since COVID, we've been doing it all virtually. You can sign up one-on-one with a tech expert. You have questions about, hey, I want to start my own website, or I'm a small business and I just want some advising on how to, streamline my operations a little bit better using technology. You may actually have a tech startup idea of your own, and we will sit down and talk with you and kind of walk you through it and guide you through it, give you some accountability partners. We actually just recently launched a program called CTO to Go, where we will, help you for basically we touch base every couple of weeks, put you on a trajectory to develop your technical roadmap, and then help you hire the tech talent in order to, create whatever it is you're trying to achieve. And, over the course of a few months. And so the CTO to Go program, for those people who don't necessarily have that in-house CTO or technical expertise, we can be that for you. And, of course, the applications are online if you're interested in that. Thebeanpath.org. Also follow us on social media at the Beanpath. But yeah, so that's what we do at the Beanpath. We also do, workshops for youth. We've done several hackathons and coding classes, and we've given away, I think, is it now $8,000 in scholarships and grants to either local organizations or students who, have a technology need. And so that's what we're all about.
That's brilliant. Well, I think along those lines, and you have so many fields, so I'll let you choose which field you would like to talk about for this next question. Well, what do you think will be the next challenge to which you have to adapt to in your field?
The next challenge, so I will say there's, which I didn't really mention, but my next project, because I can't, entrepreneurial life, you can't just sit still, right? You're always on to the next thing. And so my next project is what we're calling the Tech District in Jackson, downtown area, which is actually, I'm acquiring 12 acres of land in that downtown area, and we're turning that into a tech district, which is it's going to be live, work, play. In addition to housing and restaurants, we're going to have like a whole innovation hub, maker space, event center, conference and training, places for people to have office space, so things like that. And I think a challenge that we're going to come across, of course, a lot of the event space and conferences, of course, were not in person anymore. And so whereas that was a big part of the or at least a substantial part of the business model, we've had to pivot just a little bit. I think also, some people are not as inclined to, invest their money in these type of projects anymore. Again, the entrepreneurial life, you have to know how to pivot. You have to know how to adapt, because things are constantly changing. And so understanding people, I think understanding, the psychology behind, why people do what they do, all that goes into, helping to maintain and survive in a time like this.
Excellent. And along those lines, because I know, so I do some things here, and we have a lot of social entrepreneurs who are engaged with trying to apply entrepreneurship to social problems. In your experience, how much overlap is there between the two, between the social entrepreneurship and like the for-profit entrepreneurship?
Right. So actually, in my world, technology and technology development overlaps with the nonprofit, which is exposing people to technology, being on that platform, but also understanding how to leverage that platform to say, okay, yes, you're Amazon and we do all this stuff, but how can I also divert some of the resources and some of those benefits back to my community and back to my home state and my hometown. And there are several things in the works. There were way more in the works before COVID. So some things have been put on hold, but using that platform as a technologist and as someone in the industry, and then turning back around and say, hey, we have a responsibility to do this social good, to pour back into people so that we can continue this cycle. And I think it overlaps pretty well. So.
Excellent. Thank you. And I agree with you completely, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much for that. When you face career challenges, what kept you from giving up? Because once again, you've obviously demonstrated tremendous intellectual curiosity just by talking about things you did in high school, playing pianos and tennis playing, everything else. So just talk a little bit of these challenges and why you didn't give up.
Right. So I think there are. So I grew up raised by my mother, my grandmother. So it was a house full of women. So my sister. Uh, so we did everything. So we mowed the yard. We got on top of the roof to hang the Christmas lights. We did everything. And so I was very curious and interested in how things worked. And if the lawnmower broke, we had to fix it. And so that's kind of where a lot of my engineering, mindset came from. Even though they weren't formal engineers, but they knew like how to do a lot of things, and we just learned. We picked it up really fast, and so I think that took me into, um, undergrad, as well as coming from high school and leaving Jackson to come to Atlanta, and being able to say, okay, I know that I'm unique, and that I know where I come from, and I know what makes me special. And it took me a while to understand, my own value, and that's something I think a lot of people, we've often talked about, especially like women in the field and minorities and African Americans and blacks in the tech field, and in entrepreneurship in general. You often think, sometimes because you don't see other people that look like you think, am I supposed to be here? And I think it's called imposter syndrome. And so, those are definitely some challenges they had to work through and understanding. But once you realize your value, and this is where it really can go for anybody, once you realize the value and what you bring to the table, that's when everything starts taking off. Until if you're just trying to be someone else or trying to act like something that you're not going to get very far. So.
Brilliant. Thank you. Who would you consider a mentor, and how did this person assist or prepare you for the challenges that you faced?
Well, I always say that my mom and my grandmother were really strong mentors. Those were the first women that the matriarchs of the family that I encountered. And I think as I got older, they were just strong women. They did what they had to do. It was no excuses. This needs to be done. If you're afraid of snakes, but you got a snake in the back room, you got to get it out. So you're the only one there. So I think it's just that kind of helped. And I know also coming through, I have a whole list of mentors in every aspect of life. People that I looked up to, people that I still reach out to today. Lucy Hanser, if you're watching, hello. And then Miss Portia Powell, who she's the one who, my 8th grade teacher who sent me to my first engineering camp. And I just remember those people, all those people that really helped me. It's because of a good support system, because of a good team. Oftentimes people say, "Oh, I'm a self-made man or a self-made woman," but it definitely takes quite a few people to help mold you, for better or for worse, to get you where you are. And that's just what I believe. So, yeah.
That's brilliant. What should college students do to be more prepared to have an entrepreneurial mindset?
So good point. I think some people, they have it before they even start college. Selling candy in high school or selling drinks behind the gym. It's this. You have people like that. They have that mindset, and I think if that's you, then you just need a little bit more experience. You just need a little bit more to be a little bit more well versed, and that's what I think going to college and getting an education does. It doesn't necessarily say you're not great or you can't do this without it, but it just enriches you that much more. And it helps you grow your network. I think that's really important too. Networking, they often say it's not what you know, it's who you know. That is so true. I think it's a little bit of what you know too, but it's a lot who you know.
Thank you very much. Nashlie, thank you very much for joining us. So once again, everyone, we have been joined by Dr. Nashlie Sephus, and thank you for taking time, because I know you had a busy schedule today. So I really thank you for making time for this. And once again, thank you.
Yes, thank you all so much, and have a good one. I was gonna say you can feel free to reach out to me. I'm on LinkedIn, and feel free to follow the Bean Path at the Bean Path, or check out our website, thebeanpath.org. So thank you so much for having me.